Present.
Representative Marcello. Representative McNamara.
Here.
Representative Mello. Representative Norton. Here. Representative O'Brien. Representative Palangio. Representative Price. Representative Regenberg.
Here.
Representative Slater.
Here.
Representative Tobon. Representative Hull.
Here.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. So really quick then, we've got two votes that we need to deal with. One would be to hold bills 7578 and 7473 for further study. These keep the bills alive for future time. And I'm going to make a motion that we hold those two bills for further study. Second. I have a second by Representative Naughton. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, those bills are now held for further study so we can keep them alive in the committee.
Who was the second on that, Chairman?
That was Representative Naughton as a second.
Who made the motion?
I made the motion, and Rep. Naughton seconded it. Excuse me. Next, we're going to take up 7084. This is a bill that we passed last session. We do have a small sub-A, which I believe everybody has in front of them. It is quite small. All it does is remove, essentially, resource recovery from the legislation. Originally, it had said near the bottom there, either a representative of the department or the corporation. Now it just says the department. That's the change. The sponsor, Rep. Morin, is comfortable with that change. So with that in mind, I'm going to move that we indefinitely postpone 7084. In its place, put 7084 substitute A.
Second.
Seconded by Representative O'Brien. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So now 7084 substitute A is before us. Is there any questions on the sub A? Rep. Marcello, did you have a question? Okay. Any questions on the bill itself? Again, this bill just basically allows for emergency transfer stations. People may remember Rep. Morin's issue where his constituents, because of the fact that it was going to take a really long time to get a temporary transfer station in place, put this legislation in to help with his district there. There's a motion for passage from Representative O'Brien. That's seconded by Representative Hull. Moving around here a little bit. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 7084 passes. Substitute A passes. And we'll move on to Representative Ruggiero's bill.
Mr. Chairman, may I please be marked present in the affirmative on the prior votes?
Absolutely. I didn't see you come in, Rep. Philippi. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chairman.
So let the record show that Rep. Philippi is present and would like to be recorded in the affirmative on the votes so far in the committee. 7473 by Representative Ruggiero extends the I can't remember the title of the new title.
Renewable Energy Growth Program.
Explain that again for us. Rep. Ruggiero, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, members of the committee, for hearing this bill. As you may recall, the General Assembly overwhelmingly passed the Renewable Energy Growth Program back in 2014, which expands renewable energy projects in Rhode Island with 160 megawatts of capacity over 5 years. The REG program allows homeowners, businesses, and municipalities to install renewable energy systems, solar, wind, small-scale hydropower, over a 15 to 20-year period of financing. This bill before you, H. 7473, actually extends the Renewable Energy Growth Program on the 5th year for another 10 years. Why is this important? Well, Rhode Island has seen some tremendous growth in the renewable energy sector. From 2014 to 2015, the industry grew 6%, actually 6.6%, creating over 600 jobs in the state. That exceeds the state overall employment growth, which was about less than 1%. So these renewable energy projects are built here in Rhode Island with jobs in Rhode Island. And in 2015, just last year, 25 cities and towns saw renewable energy projects through the REG program, such as the 3 wind turbines in Coventry. East Providence closed landfill has extended their program with the solar array, and about 180 homeowners are now taking advantage of this program. So it's been very successful, in many ways spawning a huge economic sector in Rhode Island that really didn't exist prior to 2011. That's when we began the program with a bill that I had sponsored just for a pilot program with 40 megawatts. So I'm hopeful that we can extend it and continue the growth in this particular industry. So that's the bill before you, and thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Rep. Ruggiero. Yeah, and again, I think we've already seen some great activity, and I think this makes sense to get that activity to continue to grow. Any questions for Representative Ruggiero? Thank you very much. I know you have to get down to finance, so I don't want to hold you up for
Thank
that.
you very much,
Absolutely.
Chairman
Yeah.
and committee members.
And for folks that are watching, too, to understand, people are going to be coming in and out of the room. We do have members that need to get to other committees to help with votes, to make sure that and to learn about some of the bills in other committees. We do have a lot of committee members that are on multiple committees, myself included. But tonight I won't need to join anybody elsewhere. So let's start with Kat Burnham. Let's see here. Jerry Elmer. Is Jerry still? There is Jerry, yeah. And Dan Besley. Am I saying it right, Dan? Yeah, I think I am. Yeah. And I know you had Sue on here as well, but is it either or? Was that the idea, Dan? Okay, all right, yeah, so I'll do that. Welcome, and why don't we start with Kat, since she signed up first, and we'll rotate around.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Kat Burnham here on behalf of People's Power and Light. We are a Rhode Island nonprofit organization dedicated to making energy more affordable and environmentally sustainable. I'm also the political chair for the Environment Council of Rhode Island, which represents 62 organizations, environmental organizations across the state, and both PP&L and ECRI support this bill. I'll be brief, as I believe there's lots of folks advocating for this measure. We were strong advocates for the extension of the DEG program, and we see this bill as a logical next step for several reasons. The first being job growth. Investing in local renewable energy sources is also an investment in our workforce. A reliable REG program will attract even more energy developers, installers, and companies to Rhode Island. Second, energy security. Rhode Island is at the end of the pipeline for sources such as natural gas and oil, and we are at the mercy of those unpredictable out-of-state sources and prices. Having local renewable energy sources will diversify our energy mix and also help stabilize prices. And then finally, we are committed to the Resilient Rhode Island Act, which sets a critical target to reduce greenhouse gas reductions. To meet that target, the RG program is an essential tool. So knowing all of that, we respectfully request that you support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Burnham? All right. Thank you very much, Kat. Jerry, your second, so go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Jerry Elmer. I'm a senior attorney at Conservation Law Foundation. We support this bill. This is, of course, an extension of two previous bills that you enacted, 2011 Distributed Generation Standard Contracts Program and the 2014 Renewable Energy Growth Program. CLF both of those statutes were implemented by the Public Utilities Commission, and CLF participated in and litigated in every one of the PUC dockets that implemented those programs. And we can tell you from firsthand experience that those programs have worked and have been implemented by the PUC exactly as the General Assembly intended they would be when those bills were enacted. I think I can safely say that not every bill that you pass in this building works out the way it was intended to work out. But the Renewable Energy Growth Program has done exactly that. This bill would extend it. In addition, when those earlier bills were passed here, they were very much prototypes and experiments to see if they would work. And now they've become models for other legislatures all over the country. I worked for 2 years with a group of Oregon legislators who were working on a bill modeled after this renewable energy growth program. The California Public Utilities Commission distributed a copy of your statute to all of their legal staff as an exemplar of how renewable energy growth programs should be structured. In fact, one day I was at my desk here in Providence, and I got a call from this guy with a southern accent. It was an Alabama PUC commissioner calling to ask about this statute, how it worked, how it had really worked out in reality. The bill before you is extending a highly successful prototype program in Rhode Island, and we urge you to pass this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Elmer? Thank you very much, Jerry. The Honorable Dan Besley, right? Am I remembering right, Dan? You're a former state rep or state senator from?
State rep for 24 years in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Chairman.
welcome again.
Thank you. And as such, I know enough not to read my testimony. I know that you will read the testimony. So let me first of all say thank you, Mr. Chairman, and through you to the rest of your committee members. For the record, Dan Besley, representing the Northeast Clean Energy Council. Last year when we were here, we were the New England Clean Energy Council. Since that time, we've actually been doing some work in New York State, and so we changed our name, but not our T-shirts. It still says NECEC. I'm not going to read the testimony. I would like to make 2 points. The first is that we operate in every state in New England, and this week on Tuesday we were in Connecticut for Clean Energy Day. Our Clean Energy Day here is April 5th. We hope to see you all when we bring businesses around from Rhode Island, doing business in Rhode Island. As we met with people and listened to what businesses had to say, I was in meetings with about 12 to 15 businesses, depending on the meeting, in Connecticut. Every business, regardless of what they needed individually for their business, talked about reliability, predictability, a level playing field, knowing what the playing field is. Here in Rhode Island, you have been on a course to create that stability and that predictability. You have done a great job over the last few years, and I want to congratulate you for the job that you have done. According to the Solar Foundation, in their jobs report, and according to your own Clean Energy Initiative report, program report, you led the nation in creating jobs in the solar industry last year. Your per capita increase was greater than any place else in the United States, 6.6%. Projections are that this year you could be at 16% plus. So you're doing the right thing here. And part of that is that predictability and reliability by the REG program and the RES program. And as they are coming to an end, even though we're only in the second year of the REG program, it follows on the distributed generation program. It has been successful, but it ends in 2019. There are people that want to make investments here. They want to make investments that are going to take 5, 10, 15 years to pay back. In order to do that, they need a reasonable assurance that these programs will last. By extending out this program, you're giving them that assurance, and you're helping to make sure that this industry continues to grow in this state. Again, I want to thank you all for the job that you've done in all parts of the whether it's wind or whether it's solar or whether it's all of the regulatory system that goes along with that. We continue to work down here, and we'll answer any questions you may have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you again, Mr. Besley. Any questions for Mr. Besley about that? Again, and we appreciate your recognition about that, because again, I know a lot of us have worked hard to again try to push Rhode Island to a place where we're getting more economic activity around that, in addition to the actual renewables as well. So thank you very much to those folks. Rep Price, did you want to be recorded in the affirmative on the votes? Okay. So for the record, again, Rep Price would like to be recorded as present and in the affirmative on the earlier votes. I wanted to let folks know, too, that we have some folks have signed up in favor of this legislation. They are not speaking of sent in testimony. We've got Cynthia Wilson-Freyes from the Public Utility Commission. I'm sorry, actually, she did not sign up as pro. She signed up just that she's submitting testimony. I want to be clear on that. John Berard from Clean Water Action signed up in favor but not speaking. Meg Kerr from the Audubon Society of Rhode Island signed up in favor and is submitting written testimony. And next we have Chris Kearns. And I think he's actually closing us out then on that. But while Chris comes up, we've got Bridget Ryan from Emerald Cities has signed up in favor and submitted written testimony. And Barry Schiller from North Providence Energy Commission has signed up in favor, but is not speaking tonight as well. So, Chris, welcome.
Chairman, members of the committee, the Office of Energy Resources fully supports Representative Ruggiero's legislation to extend the Renewable Energy Growth Program. This committee, as you're aware, passed this law 2 years ago. Program has been successful. We've seen projects from this program proposed in 25 municipalities across the state within the last 9 months. We're fully expecting, Representative Ruggiero mentioned, 180 homeowners have participated in this program to date. We expect over 300 homeowners over the next 2 or 3 months, and for that number to continue to grow over the next couple of years. So we are seeing homeowners take advantage of this program, businesses take advantage of this program, and municipalities. So ultimately, as many people that have the ability to take advantage of it are taking advantage of it, and we expect that to grow over the next couple of years.
Thank you very much, Chris. Any questions for Mr. Kearns? Thank you very much, Chris. That concludes the hearing on, I moved my stuff here a minute ago. I got bill number 7473. Thank you. Next, we're going to have, by Representative Macbeth, 7578. And Representative Macbeth's legislation around geoengineering that we've heard previously as well. Thank you. Rep. Macbeth, please.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. This, I believe, is the third year that I've submitted this legislation. And I think since the first year that I did submit it, certainly I've gotten a lot more correspondence, and I believe you probably have as a committee. I'm not going to delve into all of it because there's somebody here that I think can give a lot more information on the geoengineering. And then also, if any of you have questions, we have Representative Price that I think has been following this years before I even looked up in the sky and realized something was going on. So certainly we have him to fall back on too, but I would certainly turn this over to Tom, who's here to testify.
Certainly. And did you? Well, I guess if we have other questions, you're going to stay so we can. If we had some other question after he goes or something.
I'll
like
wait.
That. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you, Rep. So then, before we ask, if we have any questions of Rep. Macbeth after, we can certainly get to her. But at the same time, let's let Thomas Loisel. Is that how you pronounce it, sir?
Yeah, Loisel.
Loisel. Yep. Welcome again, sir.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. Thank you very much for making this an issue, because it is a very important issue. I'm not a scientist. I'm not an expert. I am, however, a lifelong Rhode Islander. I'm a family man, a businessman. I have 3 sons. They're all in Rhode Island. My oldest is a veteran of the Air Force, military intelligence, and Iraqi war veteran who settled in Johnston, just bought a house and got married, and they're working on bringing grandbabies into the world. And obviously, so I have a tremendous concern for the quality of life in Rhode Island, as my other sons are here, as well, finishing up school and so forth. And so I started out with this whole process as a major skeptic. Okay, so many, many years ago, when someone told me about this, I didn't believe it. And then, I started looking into it, researching it, and then kind of opening up my eyes, and I found that, this is really happening. And when you look at the history, cloud seeding began back in the 1830s via balloon. And when you look back in the 1950s and 60s, when there were drought conditions in various areas across the United States, they advertised in the newspaper. And you could see, newspaper clippings. They're all over the place saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. Well, they don't tell us about what they're doing anymore. And we all know that, flight schedules work the same way as bus schedules and train schedules. If you travel at all in business, you know that if you miss a certain flight at Baltimore, Washington, you can, an hour and a half later, there's another flight that you can pick up. Right. So when you start a day that has a similar kind of outlook with blue skies and regular clouds in the sky, and you see, it stays pretty much like that all day. You don't see many jets in the sky at all. And that's a Tuesday, for example. And anywhere in Rhode Island, or especially right here in the State House. In fact, I've seen some advertisements and different things where I can see trails right over the State House, and I'm saying, these folks should be able to see this when they're walking right out the door. And so you have the next Tuesday, all of a sudden now you're getting inundated and you're seeing jets all day long. My wife's office, her window is right there, and so she'll tell me, don't look outside, And so I guess awareness of all this has been raised, quite considerably as of late. But the question of whether it's happening or not, it's really, it's over. You go back to the U.S. Senate congressional hearings of 1978, where they're talking about the fact that they've been doing it for over 30 years. So this has been going on for a lot longer, but it's just in the last 5 to 10 years that it has increased significantly. And it is not only affecting the environment, but it's affecting us.
So can I just redirect you probably a little bit less on the sort of history and instead about the legislation? I just want to, because again, everybody's working on other pieces.
It's my first time speaking.
Oh, no, sure. And again, I have also just, can I ask, do you have any written testimony as well afterwards, or if you want after the fact?
Well, I provided some flyers.
Yeah, and I saw those. Yeah.
All I have, really, honestly, is just notes that I wrote down.
But afterwards, you certainly email us that, and we'll make sure we get it to the committee members also. But because I don't want to limit anything that you want to say, but if you just to keep it more to the content of the bill, that would be helpful.
Okay. All right. So I think what the bill does is it allows us to, kind of keep track of what's going on. It forces whoever is doing this, because we don't have a clear understanding of the parties involved, that they have to get permission. I mean, Rhode Island is a sovereign republic within the United States of America. They can't just spray, stuff in the sky over our heads. And this is the third year. Unfortunately, in the last two times when I was traveling, I was actually en route from Florida, and you had a woman from the Rhode Island Audubon Society, a senior policy director, who spoke about it, Eugenia Marks. I spoke with her in a conversation the day after that, and I asked her why she testified against, and she said it should be handled at the federal level. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but it's just not. I think it's being done at the federal level. That's the issue, without our consent. And then the other thing that she was concerned about that first bill, saying that it didn't allow for experimentation. And I asked her point blank, do you want them to be able to experiment on us from the sky? The bottom line is there's no such thing as bioavailable aluminum. But, I wish I had, the funds to pay for all of you and all your families to have all your hair and your blood samples tested, and the ground soil and the water around your homes tested, and you would see, that they're off the charts now, okay? And all of this stuff is bioaccumulated. And, some of the ingredients we're talking about they're all harmful. Aluminum crosses the blood-brain barrier. Basically, fluoride is a byproduct of the manufacture of aluminum, and they have an affinity together. So we're fluoridated, most part for the state is fluoridated. So now, when we do get that uptake of this bioavailable aluminum from the particulates that they're spraying, then it does have the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier. And it's being blamed for, Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that. But one of the bigger issues is the barium. Barium is an immunosuppressant. It basically it reduces your body's ability to fight micromalignancies and take out the trash and everything else. And so what's happening there is you're compromising your mitochondrial DNA. You're shortening the life expectancy. There's all of these things that are happening, and they're happening to us and they're happening to the environment. In Cumberland, where I live, where we built our second house there 22 years ago, we've noticed a tremendous, degradation of, in the trees, like in the monastery grounds, for example. The outside of the trees, the inside of the trees, and you have a storm like you had last night. If we go walking this weekend, if it's a nice day, I guarantee you we're going to see all kinds of trees that have, and I'm not the only person that's seeing these things. Obviously, I'm the only person that showed up and testified, but I think that what this bill does is it satisfies, the need for us to know exactly what they're doing, when they're doing it, have them get permission, and then decide whether we're just going to outlaw this stuff if we have the power to do so, Because if the federal government comes and says, all right, this is something that we're doing, and they can't give us plausible reason, for it, then, we have to fight back as best as we can, because it's our children, it's our families, it's everything. It's our environment here. Rhode Island's a beautiful place. I mean, I was happy to know that Representative Price is aware of this before I was ever aware of it. But the fact of the matter is his district in Exeter, Hopkinton, and Richmond is a beautiful, beautiful area. And it's what Rhode Island, it's a good part of what, Rhode Island has to offer. And for us to compromise that or allow it to be compromised by, foreign parties, it's unconscionable. So.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Langlois?
I have one, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Hull.
Are we speaking about the contrails from airlines that pass through?
Yeah, it's actually stratospheric aerosol geoengineering or solar radiation management. And I have a bunch of resources that I would like, if I'm allowed to maybe email members of the committee, I can email you some links and some information, including numbers and stats on the blood and hair samples with the barium, strontium, aluminum.
Please do. Please do.
And,
Not to cut you off, but
also, I also, if anyone is interested, I have a DVD that I can leave here and you can share it. But the gentleman that produced this is Dane Wigington, and he is involved with legislatures across the United States. He has a Saturday call with lawyers and folks and others, and they're trying to figure out a way, to deal with this issue. And so he's working with a lot of, and he has invited any legislators from the state of Rhode Island who would like to participate in the call to do so. It's you can, just be kind of anonymous, just listening in and hear what they're trying to do. If they can't get the legislation done, then they want to approach, nonprofit environmental groups to set them up as a plaintiff for a lawsuit, like a Clean Water Action, like, looking at the amount of chemicals and saying, right, this is not normal. Again, big difference between finding natural aluminum, deposits in the soil and water versus bioavailable that can, taken into the body and doing a lot of damage. So,
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Hull. Any other questions? Representative Regenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. More of a comment, and I made this last year, but I just want to say I appreciate some of the findings of fact in this legislation. And I personally don't know and haven't seen much evidence of whether geoengineering is happening currently, but I do know that there are serious people having real conversations about trying to do this, and it's a testament to how to what a crisis we have gotten at this point with climate change and what the consequences are that people are having serious conversations about doing extreme things like this. And so I appreciate in the findings of fact laying out that that is an insane answer. There are ways that we can respond to climate change. There are ways we need to respond to climate change. We need to get to a clean energy economy. We need to get resilient. But we can't sort of hack the climate system by going around and thinking that as humans we can use technology to fix this and change the global climate. And if we tried that, there would be significant consequences.
Well, if you had a chance to speak with Dane, he would speak with you. He's very passionate about this. He's been doing it all at his own expense. If you spoke with him, he would kind of give you more technical information than I have, but also present it in a way where you would understand that we're talking about a cataclysm here. We're talking about, we've got, one catalyst after another catalyst rather, that ultimately is going to be a cataclysm if it's not dealt with. And he's not a global warming, climate change skeptic. He's not saying that climate change isn't happening. He is saying it is happening, but we are also making it a lot worse by trying to mitigate it. And we're also destroying our environment, and we're destroying our bodies with the chemicals that we're spraying.
Thank you, and do email us also the information about the call that you were talking about as well. Any other questions? Representative Price.
Yes, thanks for coming in. Nice talking with you the other day. It's not so much a question, but more of a comments, kind of confirming what was said in testimony. It's kind of a tough subject for people to get their heads wrapped around. And sorry about that. But if you do, I've been following this for quite some time, and if you can actually pull up some government documents that confirm that there are geoengineering programs being conducted, probably worldwide. Not so much that, like you said, the woman said that it probably should be addressed on a federal level, which I could see why she would say that, because it's probably more of a federal issue because it's so nationwide. But if we just address it on a state issue, as a states could get together, and as states they could address it on a federal issue. But I have information that I could supply to the committee. This Air Force document, it's called Owning the Weather 2025. It's actually from the Air Force. There's some stuff from the Department of Accountability, which I know that when we go through committees, we always like to have facts that we could research and government data. And also I have 300-page research document, which kind of gives the history of the program and where it currently is and where they project that it will go. So it's definitely should be up for conversation, and I think that's one of the reasons that we're bringing this up, so that it at least comes up to be discussed and come to light, even though it is like the elephant in the room when you can see it in operation if you choose to look for it. And
you don't want to believe it.
It's a tough one to wrap your hands around.
And spraying, stuff in the sky that's harmful for me and my environment.
Right, and
That's not happening, right? But you have to get past that. You got to believe your own eyeballs. I've got pictures, videos, films. He's got more stuff than I could ever supply. But I'm going to send emails out with links and everything else. And I'm also going to, like I said, provide the information for his Saturday call. He does a call at 12:30 Saturdays, and speaks with legislators and lawyers and folks from around the country, trying to how do we deal with this issue? Because it's the elephant in the room. How do we deal with this? Okay.
Thank you, and thank you, Rep. Price. You certainly can. We'll try to make this available for committee members as well. The things.
Absolutely. Anybody that wants them, I could email them, or I could get hard copies for you.
So,
very interesting.
Absolutely. It's a really interesting topic here along the way. I sent something to Rep. Macbeth that I saw that had sort of things on both sides of it. It was interesting to see the sort of both sides of the piece. But again, I like Rep. Regenberg said, it's just disappointing that we're looking at these kinds of, that people are even seriously considering these kinds of solutions no matter what. I just think it's disappointing we really have other alternatives to get to where we need to get to around climate change. So that said, that concludes the hearing on I'll get the bill number right here, 7578 by Representative Macbeth. Did anybody have questions for Rep. Macbeth? Let me ask. Okay, no. That concludes the hearing on 7578, and I'll gladly accept a motion to adjourn. That's moved by Rep. Philippi, and we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.